Excellent. I've had it. The Bill might not have, but I have.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Veterans Day weekend. Today we are honoring all our veterans and military spouses who served our country. So I would like to start us off by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is located right over there. Please stand and we'll pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And you can remain standing if you'd like, because we are going to sing two hymns. The words will all be up on the screen. The first one is Unfamiliar, but I think you'll like it, and the second one is America the Beautiful. So please sing from your hearts if you can. much sums it up, don't you?
It is really a great message that our veterans have done this morning. But now, you've got some other things going on here. You put some butterfly.
Oh, isn't it pretty? I love butterflies, and they kind of symbolize new life and resurrection, so I thought it would be nice to include it.
Okay,
It just looks pretty.
okay.
Yeah.
And what's the dove? Is that a Holy Spirit reference?
Oh, that's a great idea. But I was thinking more like the dove of peace, like symbolizing peace, because I think someone who was a soldier would appreciate peace, right?
Okay, all right.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
What's with the tea bag?
Oh, I wanted to give them some kind of nice little treat, and chocolate has a lot of sugar in it, and I thought some nice chai spice tea, nice little treat.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And you've got a bracelet.
Well, it's not just any bracelet, it's got shamrocks on it. Who couldn't use a little bit of luck, right?
Okay, now, with all you've got going on, what's up with the Band-Aid?
Oh, to be honest, I'm not really sure. But, I think there's something about a Band-Aid that just makes people feel better just by looking at it. That was what I was thinking.
You just grabbed some random stuff.
Okay, yes, I just kind of grabbed a bunch of random things, but I did put some thought into the meaning of the things, a little bit of thought, tiny bit of thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
What, do you think there might be a better way to thank our veterans?
Better than this awesome poster? Like what? Should we give them all puppies?
No, I think puppies is bad, but maybe a shot in beer.
Yeah, but we're in church, so, wine, that's not allowed. Right?
Okay, well, you could volunteer, breakfast, lunch, a meal.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's a good idea.
Or you could just say thank you.
I could just say thank you.
Well, we probably have some vets here today.
Oh, we probably do. Let's just give them a round of applause. Let's give a round of applause for all our veterans. Who did what had to be done. Who did what had to be done to keep our freedom. And so thank you for humoring me with my silly little skips there. All right, so we are moving into our sermon, which, as you can tell, my theme is the idea of saying thank you. Why is it difficult to say thank you? Why does it feel awkward? I do think it's important to thank all of the men and women who serve their country in times of peace and war, no matter who they are or how they served. That kind of service involves sacrifice. The sacrifice of giving up comforts and familiarity, the sacrifice of long separations from loved ones, and in some cases, the emotional and mental sacrifice of witnessing violence and trauma. For all these reasons, I try to say thank you to our veterans whenever I get the chance, and not just on Veterans Day. But I must admit that I always feel a little awkward when I extend a thank you to a veteran, no matter how sincere the gratitude may be. I'm not sure exactly why I feel this way. Maybe it's because I know, and they know, that the real reason they made the sacrifice was not to receive praise or to receive thank yous. I'm sure it's nice to be thanked, but that's not the reason they did it. And whenever I say thank you, I'm uncomfortably aware of of the implication therein, as if I think that my awkward verbal recognition is somehow enough to make such a tremendous sacrifice seem worthwhile, when we all know it isn't enough and doesn't even come close. When I was doing some research and talking to a few veterans that I knew in order to prepare this sermon, I found that many veterans do feel very awkward whenever anyone says thank you for a number of reasons. Many say that they were just doing their job. They were doing what had to be done. Some were drafted into the military, and even those who were not drafted did it because somebody had to do it. And who else would have done it if they didn't? So to be thanked for that feels wrong to them. Others say they feel like people just say it carelessly, a little bit the way I threw together this silly poster, without any real meaning, kind of the way you might say, have a nice day. They do not sense any real authenticity or sincerity behind the words. In some cases, they might even feel like maybe people say it just to feel a little bit better about themselves, and maybe in some cases they are right about that. So it got me thinking, is there a better way to thank someone who has served our country? A way that comes across as more meaningful and sincere? Well, again, I was doing some research on the best ways to show appreciation of veterans. There were several suggestions which kept coming up. One of these was to donate to charities that help veterans, such as the USO or the Wounded Warrior Project. Another is writing an old-fashioned letter or card to say thank you, rather than just offering an offhand comment, but put a little more thought into it than this. This is an example of what not to do, right? So really put thought into your words if you're going to write a card or a letter. Yet there was another deeper theme which kept coming up in different ways, which really made me think, how can you really show appreciation of a veteran? By being a person worth fighting and dying for. Being a person worth fighting and dying for. And this is a difficult concept for a number of reasons. For one thing, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter whether or not we're worthy, whether or not we're deserving. Our veterans showed up to serve with no consideration as to whether or not you and I were worthy of that, whether or not we deserved it. The freedoms that we have in this country as a result of their service belong to every American citizen, whether we deserve it or not. We don't have to work for it. We don't have to earn it. We just have it through no effort of our own. But I would imagine that any person making a sacrifice for someone else would find comfort in knowing that the cause is worthwhile, that people will use that hard-won freedom wisely to make a positive difference in the world around them. And that seems like it would be the best, the most sincere and genuine way of saying thank you. Well, of course, we all know the one person who could relate the most to this idea of making great sacrifices for people who don't necessarily deserve it, Jesus Christ. In fact, very much like the veterans, Jesus really didn't want empty praise or lip service. He was there to do a job. It was a job that no one else would do if he did not do it. And so in Mark chapter 10, verses 17 to 18, we read, as Jesus started on his way, a man ran up to him and fell on his knees before him. Good teacher, he asked, what must I do to inherit eternal life? Why do you call me good? Jesus answered. No one is good except God alone. In other words, he's not there for the fake praise. He doesn't want anyone to fall on their knees and call him good. He wants them to show their praise through actions. He follows this up by reminding the young man to follow the commandments and telling him to sell his possessions and give them to the poor. In other words, don't just worship me and call me good, he's saying. Live like a believer. Have a positive impact on the world around you. Be a person worth fighting and dying for. Yet despite this, the Bible makes it clear that Jesus' sacrifice was for everyone. It was not something that could be earned or deserved. Romans chapter 5, verses 6 through 8 tells us, you see, at just the right time, when we were still powerless, Christ died for the ungodly to die, but God demonstrates his own love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. So it doesn't matter whether you're a CEO or a struggling single parent on welfare. It doesn't matter whether you are a pillar of the community or an addict at your lowest point. No matter who you are or what you've done with your life, Jesus came for you. He died for you. Whether you're worthy of saving or not, he died for you. So what should be our response? Is it enough to show up here on Sunday and just say thank you? As with our veterans, the words thank you can seem fake and meaningless unless they are paired with action. As it says in Galatians 5:13-14, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. In some translations it says, do not use your freedom for self-indulgence. I think the overall meaning there is the same. Rather, serve one another humbly in love, for the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command, love your neighbor as yourself. As Americans and as Christians, we are the recipients of so much love, so much grace, so much devout service and sacrifice, the glorious freedom that we have, the freedom we have to wake up every day in a peaceful little town in New Hampshire, knowing that we can go out and do errands, meet friends for lunch, hug our children and grandchildren, even just go to our job every day, and we know that we'll be safe. The freedom of being able to engage in debate and tolerate differences of opinion without enduring persecution of any kind. The freedom of knowing that God is our heavenly parent and that we can approach him with open hearts without fear because God, in the person of Jesus Christ, loves us enough to die for us just as we are. This freedom, it's glorious, but as we've heard so often, it isn't free. Others served, fought, sacrificed, even died. Whether we deserve it or not, this freedom is ours to use as we will. So how should we use it? Should we use it to hurl insults at people we disagree with on social media? Should we use it to destroy our bodies and relationships with unhealthy habits? Should we use it to remain stuck in depression, isolating ourselves from others, withdrawing into our safe shell? Should we use it this way? We can. We are free to do so. We have every right to use our freedom this way. But should we? I don't know about you, but I think as a person for whom Christ died, it might be nice to at least try to do a little better. I think that as a person for whom our military heroes endured long separation, hardship, and the prospect of a possible violent death, I could do a little better. Do they expect that of me? Is it a condition of my freedom? Is it a condition? Am I required to be a person worth fighting and dying for? No. We all have the freedom whether we deserve it or not. So together, let's work to be a people who are worthy of our veterans' service and of Christ's sacrifice. I can think of no better way to say